You might think that the selling point of the quintessential quintuplets is that the girls are, well, quintuplets. But what really makes this show unique in the harem genre is that the male lead actually has self-respect. One of the first posts I've ever written, way back in 2006, was about harem tropes, and right at the top of the page was this guy, the loser male stand-in for the loser male viewer. And that's the fantasy, right? We're watching a guy who no girl would normally be interested in, but through some weird twist of fate, he finds himself at the center of a harem. You don't need to work out, you don't need game, you just need coincidence and happenstance to make your dreams come true. And yes, there are shows out there like Planet or School Days, which are more visual novel than harem per se, in which the male lead is more dominant. However, on the other side, it's the girls who are the pushovers. They're weaker, in some cases they're downright infantile, and they don't do much to test the male lead in the first place. The Quintessential Quintuplets may be the only harem anime I've seen in which the girls regularly push against the male lead, and the male lead actually has the backbone to push back. You can actually understand why the girls like him. He didn't just trip over a girl and end up in a compromising position, or randomly save her life. There's no one-shot gimmick to make the girls instantly fall in love with him with nothing else to back that up. Instead, he consistently stands up for himself, passes their shit tests, and steadily builds himself up as someone who deserves respect. This has its way of turning your typical harem setting upside down. If the male lead isn't a loser, what happens when a girl puts the moves on him? He's not going to reflexively run away or get a nosebleed and pass out, right? There's a risk he might actually say yes. But at the end of the day, this is still a harem anime. Balance and order must be maintained, and to accomplish that without traditional harem gimmicks based on shyness and indecisiveness, the writing needs to be at least somewhat creative and the characters at least somewhat nuanced to keep the male lead from running off with any one particular girl. Other than the issues I've mentioned so far, this is, in a basic sense, your standard high school harem/romantic comedy. The first season is about winning the various girls over, and the second season shifts to the romantic drama between everyone once the harem is fully formed. I'll also say that the first season has some great teacher Onizuka vibes, because the male lead's job is to make sure that these 5 sisters don't flunk out of school, and he has to win each of them over on a personal level to make sure that won't happen. Great Teacher Onizuka, by the way, is a triple plus good anime. If you haven't watched that already, go out and watch it immediately. Anyway, let's get to the real reason some of you are here. Who is Best Girl? For most of the show, I liked Ichika, the eldest one, and it's not just because she'd be the first one to reach legal age. She seemed to have the most mature and balanced personality, that is until the last few episodes of Season 2, when she started making questionable decisions. At that point, I switched my back into Yotsuba, who I think is the least likely to get anywhere, but she's the only one who's been nice to Futaro from the start. The English title may be The Quintessential Quintuplets, but the Japanese title is quite different, Go Toubun no Hanayome, meaning something along the lines of The Bride Split into 5 Equal Parts, which is really weird to translate, so I much prefer calling it The Quintessential Quintuplets. But we're dealing with marriage here, and the most important thing in a marriage isn't fulfilling your fetish or finding someone who makes your heart beat fast or anything stupid like that. No, the most important thing in a marriage is stability, and Yotsuba has proven herself to be the most stable. But I guess it's a moot point, because it looks like they've been setting up Itsuki from the very beginning, and I'll be shocked, and also impressed, if they go in another direction. The one really blue-pilled thing about this show is that the male lead is still really hung up over a girl he met several years prior, but it also looks like the show is setting him up to move on from that. I guess we'll be finding out for sure next year when the next part comes out as a movie, which I'll definitely watch because, although it's not saying much, The Quintessential Quintuplets is my new favorite harem anime. And yeah, last time I declared a new favorite harem anime, it was Asu no Yuichi, mainly because it was funny, but I got some flack for that, and I also learned that people like harem anime for many different reasons. Some are in it for the drama, others for the comedy, which I tend to lean towards, and some people just want to see cute girls. Well, I'd say this show succeeds at all 3, plus it's not an embarrassment to the male gender. So after 2 seasons, I'd say The Quintessential Quintuplets is double plus good.